Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Maverick here, ready to bring to you episode 14 of Fairy Gone, or, the first season, part 2, second episode, whichever way you want to call it. So in the last episode, we didn't actually get into a new story yet. It sort of recapped what actually happened to, Veronica and Maria's village, especially pertaining to the motivations of Raydon, how he's somehow the enemy, but he has his own principles as well, right? Honestly, I still believe that it would be much better if that was the last episode of the original core, or two seasons ago. But well, they wanted to make it the first episode of this part, whatever, right? So hopefully with this episode, we'll be getting into what is the actual story for now. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. All right, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. So this is the end of last episode, right? So it's possible that Veronica is going to make a move here to assassinate Raydon, potentially. Okay. So Dorothea is going to be going with Raydon. That probably confirms that, yeah, Veronica is following them as well. Who is going to be Veronica's backup forces, though? Alright, the opening. Let me skip this real quick. I'll see you guys in a second. And back. Wheel-stopping castle. See, they literally call it episode 14. I wish the Western world would use the same format, right? Stop calling it the second season or whatever. It's episode 14. Veronica can't be thinking of taking it on herself, right? Oh. Oh? Really? Okay. So there's actually two different forces, two different players that want them dead. Oh, that was it? I thought they were gonna get ambushed right then and there by other forces. Alright. How they managed to find bedding and sheets here. Oh? What's he doing here? Hmm. Yeah, seriously. And these are the arcane guys, right? The Mafia. Yep, there they are. Shouldn't you guys sound the alarm first? I'm still finding it hard to understand his motivations, though. Well, no shit they're after Radon. Come on, Maria and Free. Isn't it time for you guys to use your fairies as well? Oh, is this the first time Dave? Ooh. Ooh. There we go. Dude, these guys are seriously incompetent. Oh, really? Hmm. Well, mind explaining it for us? Ooh. That's gonna take some time to recover from. Seriously. What? Ah. And a flashback now? Really? Alright. Hmm. So it's merging with her. Mm. So people from Suna not only can see fairies, they also have this innate ability to directly merge with the fairies, compared to other fairy soldiers which need to undergo surgery or something. And they have a compatibility process. Oh, she did find her. These two are still fighting. Alright. It's kind of parallel in the same way, right? The girls knew each other from young age, but now are on different paths. And these two were former comrades in arms. Yeah, there we go. The differences between these naturals versus other fairy soldiers. running away. Protecting the future. You have me. I knew it. Hmm. You know, if there's anything Fairy Gone does very well, it's how they, transition into the ending song at a very emotional scene. It was something they did very well in the past as well, and now with the, with these new episodes, they still have the same sort of talent. But in any case, I'll see you guys after the ending. Okay, so with this episode, we get two of our other main characters, Veronica and Wolfram, back into action, right? It's been quite a while. In terms of Wolfram, it's still not entirely clear what his motivation is. Like, I know that his family was killed at the end of the war, right? But then, originally I was pinning him for maybe he just hates the current government, he wants to overthrow it or something, and that's why he joined Arcane, the Mafia, which is working behind, behind shadows to disrupt the stability of the current empire, right? But now that he's actually turned traitor and turned to Ray Dawn, I'm still questioning, like, what is he seeking to accomplish right now? Does he still want to overthrow the government, or what? So it's still kind of hard for me to get a grasp on what Wolfram actually wants to do. So it's really hard to comment on, if his motivations make any sense or not, right? Beyond that, so we got a lot more action in this episode, but as usual, the normal soldiers are still useless as shit. You would think that after fighting a big war, and after going up against artificial fairies this many times, they would know a little bit better than just to, stay within melee range of artificial fairies and, I don't know, get their asses handed to them, right? And maybe make use of some cover, make use of some tactics, some formation tactics or whatnot. They're just useless, right? It's whenever there's artificial fairies showing up, we can pretty much discount all the normal soldiers, unless they have solidly fortified positions or whatnot. I also didn't really like the sort of forced gratitude that Three and Maria were sort of displaying against each other, and Maria, it's not even the first time, right? She has this tendency to basically stay in front of a moving vehicle or whatnot and never dodging and always relying on someone else to push her out of the way. Or actually, I don't know if it's just her. I think it's a recurring theme throughout the entire anime as well, and it just doesn't. I don't. It's not even like they're actively trying to dodge and then they can't dodge, and then in the nick of time somebody gives them another push and that relieves them from their position. They're literally standing right there and shooting at the vehicle and not moving, right? Like, how more stupid can you be? It's just, I don't know, it just feels like forced gratitude to me. And same things happened a little bit later with Three when he was going up to melee range against the artificial fairies, and then he got into a precarious position and relied on a very lucky shot by Maria to stop the artificial fairy that was about to chop him up to pieces, right? Like, he's a veteran now. There's no way that he would put himself in such a compromising position, such as that. Like, it's just, it's just making them into idiot characters, and that's something I really don't like. Like, if you want to develop the relationship between these two, there's plenty of ways to develop it, but don't make them turn stupid and then rely on the other party to save them, right? And that's what I'm trying to get here. Now, I will give the anime credit, at least it's having a much more coherent story now, in terms of one full episode, not really jumping back and forth into lots of different places, so we don't know where it's actually going. Although, of course, there are still some unresolved mysteries here, like including Wolfram and the other fairy scholar and whatnot, those kind of stuff. But I feel like it's being a lot more coherent than it was in the past. Now, one thing that I will note that I feel like this anime is falling flat on is really giving impact to the stories, and particularly to the character relations, in this case the pairing between Free and Wolfram and Veronica and Maria, right? It's just, I feel like they're not getting nitty-gritty enough, right? They're still too reserved with their fighting and whatnot, and it just feels like we can't really feel the gravity of the situation, right? Like, for instance, when Free and Wolfram were fighting against each other, yeah, sure, they look like they were, they look like they were fighting to the death, right? We got glancing blows here and there and whatnot, but it's just not nitty-gritty enough, right? This is a part where we really want to see, it's basically two people who are of similar skill, I guess you could say, and really it's a battle of conviction, right? Which side believes that their side is in the right, and that's what gives them the power to overpower the other side. So, if this was a well-structured anime, it might be something like, perhaps Free initially gains the upper hand because he believes he's in the right, he's in justice, he has the side of justice and whatnot. Wolfram is just, a thug working with the mafia and whatnot, and Free is working to protect the current world, protecting the peace and whatnot, right? And then maybe eventually, after getting Wolfram into a position where he's almost losing, then, mentioning his family, and then Wolfram going into a fit of rage, and then going back against Free, and really telling him, what do you understand, right? I went through blah, 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 blah. It's basically a lot of shonen anime 101, right? And I find it, I just find it kind of odd that that a production studio, and especially in the case of this anime, which is actually a more mature theme, they can't properly utilize this kind of setting or this kind of situation to give the proper feeling of impact to the fights and whatnot. It's just, I don't know. It just felt like they were never really in any real trouble all the way through, so it's hard to get invested within the fight, if you will. And the same with Veronica and Maria, right? I would have liked them to really, panic at each other a little bit more and struggle a little bit more. Like, for instance, we could, with the same scene, maybe Veronica is just, clawing desperately trying to get away from Maria, and Maria is holding on with her dear life, like maybe at the waist or something, and just, I'm never gonna let you go, something like that, right? Instead, they're just too calm, right? And it's really hard to get invested as a viewer in this case when it doesn't seem like the characters on screen are that invested as well. Like, sure, you could say, yeah, they're crying and whatnot, and they're raising their voices, but still, the actions, the body language speaks a lot to this as well, and I feel like it's not being properly utilized here. Now, I did like, Maria's monologue at the very end, right? Her sort of sobbing that she's never gonna, even if you run away now, she's going to find you again no matter what it takes, right? That kind of conviction, I like that. But the thing is, in order for that scene to be very impactful, you need to have the constituent animations or happenings directly before it that leads up to it, right? And we don't see this big struggle there, so the impact of that scene lessens by a considerable amount, is what I'm trying to get at. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this episode. I like what they're trying to do with this parallel between these, between the guys and the gals. It's very similar, right? And it all ties back in with the Great War and the aftermath of the war and whatnot, and how they each are on their different paths. But still, since it has this sort of foundation already, what's left is to actually, really decorate it a little bit, right? They have the foundation of a house. Now you need to put up the walls, and you need to actually make sure it looks pretty and it looks sturdy, right? And right now it seems like they have the foundation and they're just haphazardly slapping some wooden planks as the walls and whatnot, and calling it a day. That's how I feel about the series as of right now. So, yeah, that was my review of episode 14 of Fairy Gone. Let me know what you guys think in regards to all that. And honestly, I'm still on the fence as to whether or not I want to continue this series as a regular video series on my channel, right? Currently, it's a little bit better from how it was before, but it's still not really up to par with, other anime, if you will. So, I'm still on the fence about this, but I'll give it a few more episodes and then decide at that point whether or not I can accommodate this into my schedule. So, there we go. That's Fairy Gone, episode 14. This is Maverick. I'll see you guys next time.